Shalom and welcome to the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. We're continuing our work in Jeremiah chapter 8. In verse 6, the last time around we looked at this, the Lord was questioning his people. Why are my people so foolish? Why don't they recognize what they're doing and turn from their evil ways and call themselves into question and then come back and repent? And he's going to continue that line here in verse 7 with a rather unflattering comparison that we're going to see here. Let's read the text in Hebrew as we get started. Gam hasidah bashamayim yade'ah moedeha vetor vesus ve'agur shamaru et boana ve'ami lo yada'u et mishpat Adonai. So we start with our little word even, hasidah. Now what is this? Well, do you recognize any letters, perhaps any combination? If you see the word chesed, or at least the hate, samik daleth in the middle, yeah, you're getting close to it. This is actually a word, not very common. This is the word for a stork, because she is very affectionate with her young. So even a stork in the heavens, so we could actually say the stork of the heavens, if you wish, the stork in the sky, she knows. So this is a perfect, and this is going to be a 3FS, referring to the chasidah, the stork, and this the cow. So she knows moedeha. So moed is the word for a fixed time, an appointed time, something like that. And in this case here, it's a plural, so it would usually be moedim, but here we have a pronoun suffix, which is obviously a 3FX. So she knows her appointed times. She knows when it's time to do certain things in the life of a stork. As well as, and the to. Well, the following words here are going to be a little bit rare, so if you don't recognize them, that's okay. So what we have here is Torah. This is the word for turtle dove. And then vasus. Now, wait a minute, that looks weird, because sus is the word for horse. Now, we're talking about birds, and all of a sudden we get the horse. Well, there's actually a Kare reading, which would be with a yod in the middle of it, sis. So either this is an alternate form of this word sis, which means, we're not sure, it's some kind of a bird. Some translate it as a swift or a swallow. So it may be spelled this way, a homonym of horse, or it may actually be spelled this way according to the Kare reading as well. So, but no problem either way. It's pretty obvious we're dealing with birds. So we have the turtle dove and the swift, and then ve'agur. This is the word for maybe a crane or a thrush. It's really hard to identify with precision what these birds are. But all of these birds, they keep. So we have here a perfect. This is a third common plural. And this is just a cow from our verb shama, meaning to keep or to observe. And so they keep, and we would translate this almost as an ongoing perfect. They always keep, sort of an idea. This is, you can almost translate it as a present. They have kept, but they always keep. Well, what is it they keep? There's a direct object marker. And then time. And this is the word for time or appointed time or season, and it's in construct with boana. Now, boana sounds like a word perhaps from Africa or something like that, but what we actually have here is bo, which is an infinitive construct, and it's a cow from our verb bo, meaning coming, to come or to enter, and then the na ending of it. You sometimes see this on verbs, imperfect verbs, but this is a pronoun suffix, and it's a third feminine plural. So they keep the season of their coming. In other words, probably the time of migration when they would come back to the land. So they know when it's time to do certain things. But, and here this is obviously adversative because it's attached to this noun here, but my people, with their pronoun suffix, they do not know. Again, this is a perfect third common plural, and a cow from our verb yada, but almost in a present sense here, because they have not known, but they do not know even now. What is it they do not know? The mishpat, the ordinance or the judgment of the Lord. So you can notice that up here that the birds know and they keep. If you really know it, then you keep the appointed time. My people doesn't know because they don't keep it. They may have some intellectual understanding of it, but they don't really know it because they don't keep the judgment or the ordinance of the Lord. Very, very strong verse here. When the Lord compares his people to animals, this is what you find, for instance, in Isaiah chapter 1. The ox and the donkey, they know how to understand certain things, but my people don't. And here the comparison is with a number of different verbs. Wow. Let's go ahead and hide our work here and look at a couple translations. First of all, the New American Standard, which is always going to be very literal, even if we're not totally sure about the identification of some of the verbs, some of the birds. Even the stork in the sky knows her seasons, her appointed times, and the turtle dove and the swift and the thrush observe the time of their migration, the time of their coming. But my people do not know the ordinance of the Lord, the judgment of the Lord. And then, in much more of a paraphrase with the New Living Translation, even the stork that flies across the sky in the heavens knows the time of her migration, as do the turtle dove, the swallow, and the crane. They all return at the proper time each year. So they come back in there at their coming there. But not my people. They do not know the Lord's laws, the judgment of the law of the Lord there. It's a sad thing when the animals can put to shame God's people, but that is the tendency of our evil hearts to turn us away from what the Lord has spoken from the very beginning. It takes a constant renewal to come back and to focus on what God has said. Well, the Lord has more to say in this chapter, so check back with us soon in the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Shalom.